In today's video, I'm going to focus on the parabolic upside phase of the Bitcoin market cycle, comparing 2024 to 2021 and also looking at 2017 to better understand the roadmap that we could potentially expect going forward for the remainder of the cycle. That's going to be quite important to better understand. And also we're going to talk about the location as to where Bitcoin is in its current market cycle right now so that we know when to exit the market when the bull run finally tops out. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. Like this video if you enjoy content like this going forward. And let's dive right into it. But before we dive into it, a quick message from our sponsor. Our sponsor for today's episode is bitfinex, and they are a really great crypto exchange for you to consider for your daily crypto trading and investing. They are a no KYC, no VPN futures exchange, and their liquidity is on par with the top exchanges. Users can trade over 250 pairs with up to 125x leverage without restriction. And to celebrate our partnership, we're running a very special offer. From January 21st until February 21st, you can sign up using my link and deposit $50 and get $10 back, and share up to $10,000 worth of Trump tokens when you trade on bitfinex. Deposit reward will be distributed on every Monday and Thursday, and Trump trading rewards will be distributed after the campaign ends. The clock is ticking, the countdown timer is underway, and for more information, check out the link in the description down below. Thank you very much, bitfinex, for sponsoring this episode, and let's dive right into it. Each parabolic upside phase of a Bitcoin market cycle consists of a price discovery uptrend and a price discovery correction, and we tend to see quite a few of those. So in 2021 we saw 1, 2, 3, and maybe even that fourth and final price discovery uptrend. But we saw, on the other hand, 3 price discovery corrections in that parabolic phase of the cycle. What about 2017? We saw 1, 2, 3, and 4 price discovery uptrends, and 1, 2, and 3 price discovery corrections. So that gives us a lot of insight into better understanding how many potential price discovery options we could see. And it comes down to 1, maybe a second one, that's actually high probability. There'll be a 3rd price discovery uptrend, and maybe if we're lucky, a 4th price discovery uptrend. And as a result, we could see 1, 2, and 3 price discovery corrections. And I just want to talk about those price discovery corrections, because whenever we look at the price discovery uptrend, we know that that's going to go rally quite nicely and rally to new all-time highs. And then that first price discovery correction, that tends to reverse towards the upside into the second price discovery uptrend. And as a result, this price discovery correction is a very optimal reaccumulation bargain buying moment, because that's the best time we're going to see a discounted Bitcoin on a pullback. It's the best time to dollar cost average into the market, because this is also a corrective period that has a high chance of recovering into the next price discovery uptrend. And we've seen that also in 2017. That first price discovery correction transitions into the price discovery uptrend, that second price discovery uptrend, before we see another price discovery correction. So really important to understand that. Let's say we get 1, 2, and 3 price discovery corrections also in this current 2025 cycle. Well, then in that case, what we have ahead is the second price discovery uptrend, a second price discovery correction, a 3rd price discovery uptrend, a 3rd price discovery correction, and that final parabolic rally to new all-time highs, and maybe a dip in the meantime as well. But it just showcases how we have that second price discovery uptrend ahead of us, and then we're going to see another crash in the market. And that's really important to understand that maybe this was a shallow pullback of 17%, but historically we've seen 31% pullbacks like in 2021. We've seen even deeper ones than that, 34% pullbacks. And if we focus on the second price discovery correction, then that was a 38% pullback in 2017. And if you look at 2021, we saw 55% downside on a second price discovery correction. So if we saw a really shallow 17% pullback in this price discovery correction, the second one could be a little bit more scary, a little bit more volatile. It could be very deep, and it could be a few, even several weeks long. And if you focus on the second price discovery correction here, that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks long before we transitioned out of there. And here in 2021, that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 11, 10 weeks or so. because we had downside wicking here, so bottoming out, and we had a very extended cluster of basing before we rally into that third price discovery uptrend right over here. So that second price discovery correction is coming, but it's going to come after a second price discovery correction, and we just need to break beyond this final major resistance area and weekly close above there, maybe post breakout retest above it, and then rally into that second price discovery correction, and then we're going to have a crash. And that second price discovery correction in the future, really important to understand that this was a really high probability moment for price reversal towards the upside. The reward was quite nice. The risk was quite limited because we knew that this wasn't going to be a bear market yet. But when it comes to that second price discovery correction, the reward is a little bit lesser than it is in the first price discovery correction, and the risk is a little bit higher because technically there is a higher risk of us simply dropping into a bear market. And when it comes to the third price discovery correction, then obviously the reward is going to be smaller and the risk of a bear market is going to be higher because we tend to see 3 to 4 price discovery corrections. So the worst thing you can do is buy on this price discovery correction and then see price actually go into a bear market and experience a 70-80% pullback. So the first price discovery correction, high probability reaccumulation moment with decent reward and minimal risk, I'd say. When it comes to the second price discovery correction, the reward is a little bit smaller when you consider the first price discovery correction, although in 2021 you can see that the reward was very similar because it went back to the same level, but the risk is a little bit more pronounced because technically there's a higher risk of a bear market occurring. And in the third price discovery correction, just have a look here, if you buy the bottom of this 25% pullback, then the reward you have is this amount, but the risk you face is a 70% correction. So just look at how skewed that risk to reward parameter is. Risk like this, or at least reward, apologies, is like this, and risk of a bear market is that much. So in fact, that's not really a good trade or reaccumulation moment to take. Whereas if you think about the reward being here, buying on the first price discovery correction, and let's say we do go into a bear market, well, then we go into a bear market. But just notice how that reward is very equal, pretty much equal to the risk of a bear market occurring. So the risk to reward is actually quite decent, whereas if you're talking about the reward here and then the risk of a bear market taking place here, then it's very much skewed. Very much skewed. And if you're looking at, for example, 2017, because we looked at 2021 right now, if we're looking at this being a buying opportunity on this price discovery correction, then going into a bear market, this is the reward, and a risk of a bear market is maybe a little bit lower because we're already at quite low prices. Maybe that bear market would see a retracement that deep, but the reward is fantastic. And when it comes to the second price discovery correction right over here, then you can see how that reward already has diminished, right? Because if you're buying over here, then the reward to the bull cycle top is that much. But if you're buying at the bottom of the price discovery correction of the second one, you can see how that reward has diminished, and actually the risk has grown. And in fact, the risk to reward parameter is pretty much equal at this moment. So if you're looking at this being the reward here for that first price discovery correction and that being the risk, then the reward far outweighs the risk. Whereas in the second price discovery correction, that reward is smaller and the risk is greater, but it's still a decent trade because it's 50-50. The risk to reward is approximately equal. But in the third price discovery correction, just notice how that risk grows and the reward diminishes. So from the second price discovery correction, the reward is this much, whereas if you buy the bottom of the third price discovery correction, the reward gets smaller and the potential risk, it actually gets greater. So it's a risky trade, and in fact it's a trade you shouldn't really be taking, because what if we actually just collapse and go into a bear market right away? Then you're going to be waiting with your bags for a year before we finally bottom after an 80% pullback in a year-long or 390-day long bear market. And that's simply not a position you want to be in. So when it comes to high probability dollar cost averaging moments, the first price discovery correction is a fantastic moment. The second price discovery correction carries a little bit more risk, but the reward is still pretty decent, and it's the best thing we'll get. because price won't go much lower. There are just certain prices we won't go back down to. For example, on this price discovery correction, we're not going to go back to these levels, unfortunately. So this is the best we can get. It's still relatively high probability of reversal towards the upside, high probability that we won't see a bear market take place. But when it comes to that third price discovery correction, or even the correction that takes place after the bull market, then obviously you want to be out of the market because a bear market is going to come afterwards. So having spoken about the changing risk, changing reward of these price discovery corrections, we see that this price discovery uptrend took place, this price discovery correction took place. We're transitioning out of this first price discovery correction, and we're going to be embarking on the next price discovery uptrend, which is something to really look forward to. And then we have to simply be reasonable and prepare for a price discovery correction that will happen the second time. And that's that there's a high probability of reversal and bottoming on that price discovery correction. The reward is going to be a little bit lesser than what we saw here, but the risk is going to be a little bit greater, but it's still a decent opportunity to potentially dollar cost average into the market on this discounted price discovery correction. And then we're going to see a third price discovery uptrend. And then after that, I'm going to be really cautious, really hesitant. In fact, I'm not going to be buying into this third price discovery correction. We tend to see 3 price discovery corrections. 2021 showed us that, 2017 showed us that as well, and actually 2017 showed us that we can even get 4 price discovery corrections. I'm not going to be buying the later stages of price discovery corrections because it's just going to be too risky, and the risk reward is simply not really good, and there's limited reward, whereas maybe at this moment in the cycle, altcoins are going to go ballistic and rally 2, 3, 4x, 5x maybe even, and Bitcoin might have maybe an additional, well, as you can see here, Bitcoin rallied 75% in its price discovery uptrend, that very final one before it topped out in the bear market for a year-long bear market of 70%. So of course, 75% isn't anything to scoff at, but there is so much risk here that maybe it's going to be better to play altcoins which could rally 2x, 200%, 300%, 400% during that same time. And so that's potentially something to keep in mind. And it's at this moment in the cycle where I'm actually going to be taking a lot of my profits off, especially towards Bitcoin, but also taking profits off when it comes to altcoins as well. So we're not close yet to those final stages of the parabolic phase in the cycle, because we still have this price discovery uptrend yet to enjoy, and I'd say that we're around here when it comes to that moment in the cycle. And in 2017, we're around here when it comes to that moment in the cycle. So we're still very early on in the parabolic phase of the cycle, but like I mentioned here, this is pretty much the roadmap of what we've been covering in today's video, that we will see a price discovery uptrend, a first price discovery correction, a second price discovery uptrend, second price discovery correction, third price discovery uptrend, and third price discovery correction. That's pretty much what could very likely take place. And I'm not saying that we're going to rally to 300k. I'm not saying this isn't to scale. I'm not talking about price targets. I'm just talking about the general roadmap that we have yet ahead of us. And we're on the cusp of entering a parabolic phase in the cycle. Once again, that second price discovery uptrend that's going to get us into price discovery and to new all-time highs. And then, of course, we're going to have to prepare for that price discovery correction once again, very similar to what we saw over here. It's going to last multiple weeks, and chances are it's going to be deeper than this 17% pullback that we saw. This was already 17%, so shallower than what we've seen in the past. Here we saw a 31% pullback. At that same time in the cycle in 2017, we actually saw 34%. So we were it was a very lenient and very shallow rejection here, a very shallow retrace that we got here. So we didn't manage to get massive bargains here, but nonetheless a discount that was very much appreciated. But nonetheless, that second price discovery correction could be very different. It could be that much deeper, and I'm sure it's going to capitulate a lot of retail investors in the market. So really important to just understand that we're going to have a very scary time at some point in the cycle, but it most likely won't be the end of the cycle overall, and we'll still have that third price discovery uptrend ahead. So if we just look generally speaking in this market cycle, where are we at approximately? We're in the parabolic phase of the cycle, and if we're looking at where we are months-wise, we're in the third month of the price discovery uptrend in the parabolic phase of the cycle, and we begin February in a few days' time. So we're actually going to be 4 months in, which just shows us, let's just account for that additional month of February. We're going to be 4 months into the parabolic phase of the cycle, which means that we're going to be somewhere around here. And that's quite interesting because this is where we were seeing a little bit more of a retrace in the market in 2021. But when we do this with for example, 2017, then we were actually seeing a strong uptrend in that month. So really important to just understand where we are, where's that price positioning. We still have that second price discovery uptrend to enjoy, and it just shows to us that we have a bit of upside still left to go. Of course, we are going to be seeing diminishing returns in this cycle. So for example, we're not going to see a picture perfect repeat of 2021 upside all the way to wherever. Maybe we need to cut that down a little bit. Maybe we need to be even more conservative and cut that down, because if you look at 2017 here, then that reward right over here was very much cut down in 2021 by 50% really. So if we're looking at 2021 reward, then maybe we need to cut that down 50% as well. But that still means that we have a generous amount of time and a generous amount of price action still yet to enjoy going forward to new all-time highs and price discovery, and we still have quite a few phases left to enjoy in that respect, provided history repeats itself. And at the moment, history has been rhyming pretty well, so lots to look forward to in this parabolic phase of the cycle as Bitcoin now transitions away from its price discovery correction and transitions slowly into its second price discovery uptrend to new all-time highs and beyond. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. Like this video if you enjoy content like this going forward. I'm Rekt Capital, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Speak to you soon.